back to another episode of Recovery Daily Podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Miller. I'm a stroke survivor and grateful recovering alcoholic. And today, in this episode, we're going to explore the layers of denial, resilience, and an ongoing pursuit of sobriety. I was thinking this morning about the differences in people who come into sobriety and how some people come in after nearly losing everything. Some people come in after they have lost everything. And some come in and haven't lost anything. And how interesting that is to me, that we all have this different threshold almost for what it is we're willing to go through in order to seek help. I learn in sobriety that some people are sicker than others. And I remember at one time, several years ago, I said to my sponsor that I didn't believe that some people were sicker than others. I believed that we all had the same illness, and some of us have a harder time, I guess, being strong enough to fight it. Or, I just had a weird idea of why it doesn't stick with some people and other people it do, and it does. And she talked to me about how some people are sicker than others, and it just helped me understand a little better how different we all are, and that some people are sicker than others. So there are times in our lives, whether we're in sobriety or not, where traumatic events are thrown at us. And some people have these traumatic events thrown at them as a child. Some people, it's midway through their lives. Some people seem to have everything bad in the world happen to them, while others, nothing ever happens to them. And I was just thinking of all of these things this morning, and how there's an individual in my life who lost her husband right about when I came into the program. I didn't know her at that time. But when I got to know her about 4 years later, 4 years into my sobriety, I thought, I don't know. I don't know if I would have been able to stay sober through that. And she became really an example to me of how to practice the program no matter what. And I was thinking this morning about how no matter what has happened in your life and how old you are, it's never too late to start healing. And I completely can understand how an individual would not want to confront some of these traumatic events, and how denial is a form of a defense mechanism in order to just avoid the pain, to cover it up, and then just live like a normal life, like nothing's happening, and meanwhile just drowning your reality in alcohol. And although I have not, I don't think, my perspective is I have not experienced any traumatic events. I had a stroke, and I think that that is classified. I would classify that as a traumatic event. Um, I would, and I laugh, and I don't know why, because I'm uncomfortable even saying that I had something traumatic happen to me. But it is, it is. And I don't know. I know if you've been listening to this for 5 months, you're like, Rachel, come on, get with the program. Yes, you had a stroke. It's a big deal. Yes, you could have died. Like, accept it. So I don't know what my problem is, but we're going to keep working through that so that I can actually confidently identify that as a traumatic event. Um, but these other things that I've lived through, life, right? Life, caused me to drown my reality in alcohol. Life without traumatic events, we'll put the stroke aside for right now. Um, Life without what I would say are traumatic events was still something I could not face. I could not face it. So I had to use alcohol. And I remember a lot of people say this. I've run across it a lot, at least at sitting in meetings, where somebody's last cry for help was, "Oh God, please help me." And that's what happened to me too. And when I actually started hearing, for the first time when I heard somebody say, and I just said, "God, please help me," I thought, I said that too. And the longer I'm in the program, the more I run across people who that is what they said before they actually like started transitioning their life into a sober life. And that's exactly what happened to me. Sometimes in our very darkest moments, that is the thing that we say, even if maybe we didn't build a life around religion or spirituality. So, what brought me to that point where I was like, I've talked about how I always wanted to have a relationship with God, and I always felt like I really was epically failing at that. But I think maybe it was that desire to have that relationship that I thought there was nothing else that could save me. I certainly couldn't save myself. And in all of the chaos, all of the people that I was not being 100% honest with about how bad my disease had gotten, um, the only thing that I could think of was I did have a little conversation with my grandparents who had passed. I was drunk, but I was having a little conversation with them, and I was just thinking, and I think I was kind of whispering, talking out loud. I don't know. I was drunk and crazy. Whatever your thoughts are about it, maybe I was actually talking to them. Who knows? But in my world, I was talking to them, and I needed help, and that is what ended up coming out as, "Oh God, please help me." And that's when I got online, and I found a detox center, and that was the beginning. And that was when hope began to emerge in my life. And in all of that darkness, as my sobriety deepens, my devotion towards my sobriety program, my network, um, just becomes stronger and deeper as well. And it has shown me as I remain in the program and watch new people come in, some stay, some don't stay, some stay, for a while, leave, and don't ever come back. Some come back, and some die. And as I watch all of this, sometimes I feel like I'm just sitting in the stands watching a world of very sick people. And humans are incredibly resilient, incredibly resilient. These people who go through these traumatic events in their lives, and are able to find that flicker of hope and become sober like me is just a miracle. It is absolutely a miracle to watch. And when I first got sober, I really didn't think about how other people were seeing me. If anything, I just thought, well, they're just seeing me cry all the time. They probably think poor her. I didn't really understand that once I was in the sobriety program and started to become friends with these people, that they really cared about me as much as they did. I learned over my life that no one is going to care about me as much as I care about myself. Like, I have to take care of myself because nobody else is going to. And what I learned in sobriety is that there are people who will love me until I can love myself. And that's what I always wanted to happen. I always wanted exactly what I got in my sobriety program. I thought it existed when I was growing up, and I learned that it didn't exist. And in sobriety, I have been taught that it really did exist all along. And beneath all of the layers inside of me, there is this, I've talked about it before, this younger version of me who believed all of that, and now she's back again, and I believe all of that again, and that's like the truth. It's like the truth, the innocent truth that I had as a child is here again, and that is the joy that I talk about that lives inside of me, that I always thought I had to find outside of myself. And realizing that the struggle that I thought was my own, that I had to face on my own, I don't have to. I don't have to face it on my own. And the answer, really, one of the answers for me has been to address that inner young girl and nurture that innocent joy and keep encouraging myself that that is the truth. All of this stuff that you've learned over the years that you have been mistakenly learning from other people, that's just not right. The truth is what I always believed, and my life had obscured that. The alcohol obscured it. The people in my life obscured it because I listened too much to them. I didn't believe in myself. And it's unfortunate. Could I have lived my whole life knowing that truth? I don't know, but I wouldn't be where I am today without having gone through what I went through. And that's what I know for sure, is that I had to go through all of that to see that this truth is still here. And so today I am striving for balance. Um, I'm not still that innocent child anymore. I have a lot of experience that tells me when to be cautious and when not to be cautious. But I need to balance that with that inner truth, that inner joy, that trust in other people that I always believed was there. And I can balance that, number one, through going to sobriety meetings and stroke survivor meetings, and by sharing and listening. And I can gather strength from the collective experiences of others. And this is not, again, like I said yesterday, this is not some sort of destination I'm trying to get to. I started off this whole podcast by, 5 months ago by saying that I know there's something waiting for me on the other side of this. And it's important that I continue to remind myself that it's here already. It's already here. And being mindful of that at all times, and protecting this serenity that I have acquired. So I find a lot of courage watching other people who have walked through tragedy and found sobriety. It fuels my drive. It propels me forward into this continued path of uncertainty, yet opportunity and excitement. I need to hear how other people do this. I need to hear who else in the world is suffering like me in order to not feel alone. And when I reflect back on all of those years that I was using alcohol, it was allowing me to navigate. It felt like I was navigating this emotional chaos. It was helping me deal. But really it was all stemming from deeper mental challenges that I didn't know were there. And I'm still trying to address them every day. They're still there every day. Um, there's a larger issue, and it was there when I was a little girl. Um, and I didn't know what it was. That feeling that people talk about, well, I never quite fit in. I was always just a little sad. I always felt alone in a crowded room. That was my trauma. I hate to even say it was trauma, but that was my just permanent existence, was this hollow feeling, that something needed to be resolved. There was something that existed in me that needed to be resolved. And it wasn't until I stopped drinking that I was able to start looking at myself and comparing my thoughts about how I've gone through life with how other people have. When I face something, I face a challenge with my kids or something, I get to go talk to other parents that have kids the exact same age as mine and say, even if I'm not the first person to say it, because sometimes I'll be thinking something and the other person will say the exact same situation that I'm living through. And we get vulnerable with each other and explore what it makes us feel like and what have you done about it before, and how should we move forward and handle it now. I'm trying to inspire others while I figure this stuff out. And I think everyone has a unique battle that they're up against. Everyone has a little bit of chaos. Everyone has some sort of struggle. I don't care if you're in recovery or not, whether you had a stroke or not, whether you're, an addict or not, or an alcoholic or not. Everybody's got it. And I bet you there are more people in the world that believe that they have to do it on their own, that they have to fight the battle on their own, than people who don't. I bet you there's more people who feel like I did, where I'm the only one who's going to take care of myself. I'm the only one who's going to love myself. And it doesn't have to be that way. There is, for me, an unwavering light of hope that is always there no matter what. Now, whether it's when I log on to my sobriety meeting in the morning, whether I pop on to a sobriety meeting at 8:30 at night, whether I go to a stroke survivor support group at 3 in the afternoon, there is an unwavering light of hope that is always flickering. And sometimes I just get too tired to look at it. You know, sometimes I just kind of just get tired. And that's okay. Like, I have to forgive myself on those days. Um but I believe that I truly do have resilience in all of this chaos that's happening around me. And there are so many layers. I talked about it yesterday. There's so many layers to work through. Um, but I think that what's important to me is to continue to just show up. Because if I show up, I know that I'm going to hear something that I wouldn't have heard if I didn't show up. And who knows, something that maybe I think was not a big traumatic event in my life, or that I blow off like I have been doing my stroke. Maybe I'm going to show up one day and somebody else had a stroke in recovery, and I need to be there for them. So that's what I'm going to try to do. Just keep showing up amidst all the storms in my life that, that I'm just kind of trying to navigate. So thank you for listening, and I will talk to you tomorrow.